One a minute or two to join here. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining a second installment of our webinar series for StoryStudio University. Today we are going to be covering branded content and content marketing in the nonprofit space. On the call today, you have myself, Alison Pfaffl. I am the president of StoryStudio. We also have our creative director, Chloe Dinsdale, as well as Monica Vanover, who leads our product team. Little background for some folks that may be new. We are the StoryStudio. We started out of the San Francisco Chronicle in 2015. We have since grown to support the Hearst television division, the Hearst newspaper division. We have a direct line of business, as well as an affiliate program. We are a full service content marketing agency that handles everything from the creative development to interactive components, podcasting, video production, all the way down to rich analytics that we provide our clients, and the thorough deep analysis that we can really learn from this content. I think the three things that have differentiated us and continue to are: one, how we go about telling a story. So we sit down with our clients one-on-one. We figure out exactly who they're trying to reach, what message they're trying to get out there, and really craft the story around that versus some of the more, programmatic options out there where, the clients are submitting bullets and, the story comes back not as personal. A lot of times the mission and everything isn't infused in the stories themselves. And so we really take that step further to make sure that this piece is about the client, and it comes across for their target audience exactly how they want it to be. Second is guaranteed readership in our distribution. So our clients know going in at minimum how many people are going to view their story, and they know it's going to be an engaged reader. We only count readers if they've been on the page for 30 seconds or more. So again, you're getting that audience that is truly moved by your message, learning from your message. And then lastly is our analytics. We handle everything from start to finish, as I said. But what's most important at the end of these campaigns is for us to be able to provide, a story about your story, so to speak. And, we have a real-time dashboard that we give to clients so they're able to see, again, full transparency, exactly what elements are driving CTAs, providing the most value. How are we driving readers to take action? All of that is captured within our analytics dashboard. Nonprofits has been one of those categories that's been big for us since the beginning. It continues to grow, and the reason that we really wanted to focus this webinar on the nonprofit initiative is because now's the time. So 30% of annual giving occurs right now, right in December. So they're planning their marketing initiatives for their biggest time of year. 10% of annual giving occurs the last 3 days of the year. And so, our thought process here is we can start getting, this product in market, talking to the right people to really make sure that we're able to flush out the most useful piece of content to really drive the donations and participation that these nonprofits are looking for. 64% of donations are made by women. And one, a study I found here really interesting was 69% of the population gives. And so if you think about it, when you're looking at how many nonprofits are out there, creating a message that stands out is so important. And we feel the best way to do that is to connect with the audience through storytelling. Next, what we're going to do is walk you through a series of examples. And what we tried to do is highlight programs for their specific goals, target audience, and then we also tried to layer in a best practice that hopefully you can use those insights to fuel future conversation that you might have with your clients. Head Start is a program that offers assistance to families in the San Antonio area. A lot of the community that they serve is a Hispanic community. And so they wanted to make sure that they were breaking down all potential barriers for readers and people in the community to reach out to them for these services. And so, as simple as it sounds, what we did is we created the story in both English and Spanish. But what's important here is that all of the interactive elements, all of the share features, all of the data capture, all of that is created in both language. These stories are promoted in both languages. And so you're truly getting an authentic experience, an in-language experience to, again, foster additional participation. And it goes to being able to, like I said, clarify that mission with the right audience. And so they were able to use this platform to really target the right reader, and target the right people who they were hopefully going to make a huge impact in these people's lives.
Really great information, Allie, and super impactful. And I know when it comes to nonprofits, education is a really important sector of nonprofits. So, what can you tell us a little bit about how the bilingual content is created?
Yeah, the process is fairly simple. We start out just on a standard kickoff call. We create the content in English first and foremost. And then what we do is we work with a Spanish-speaking writer to then make sure the story translates in tone and context. So it truly is a unique piece for the Spanish-speaking audience.
That makes sense, and that seems really seamless. In terms of distribution, is there anything that changes?
Yep, it's an entirely different distribution plan. So we will run the English story to the English speaking audience. And then with the Spanish story, everything, titles, promotional elements, as well as the sites in which it runs will all be targeted towards that Spanish speaking audience. So you'll never have a situation where an English promotional card will appear on a Spanish site and vice versa.
Wow, that's a really unique offering that they have. That's amazing.
Yeah, I just think it's so important in it, to make the transition for readers as seamless as possible. We want everything that we do to truly resonate in a native environment, and so having that run in language is key to the success. Next up, we have the Ritter Center. This campaign is actually one that continues to grow. So we started with a series of 4 stories for them, and we're actually working on sort of the next phase, which will be a hub that aggregates all of that content into one central location. What Ritter Center did for this story specifically was really focus on getting volunteers. I think a lot of nonprofits lost a lot of volunteers during COVID. Everyone was housebound, and so much of their business and success and impact really lies with the volunteers. Approximately 63 million Americans, which is 25% of the adult population, volunteer their time, their talents, or their energy to making a difference in working with nonprofits. So while monetary donations are the lifeblood of any nonprofit, we also want to showcase readers what their time will do. And so what Ritter Center did was they put out a call for people in the Bay Area to register to help them with one of their initiatives, which was a Give Up Your Bed night in San Francisco. And so what this story does is it went through a myth-fact approach, but it really showcased what the experience would be like as a volunteer, what the impact would be for the community as well as yourself, and generally just walk them through the entire process. And so, again, this one was for the Ritter Center to call for volunteers, asking people for their time, and the next iteration of this series is going to be more financially focused. But you'll see how, there's a different content strategy for both. When you're asking people to donate their time, you're putting them in the front lines and, to support the community in whatever way this your nonprofit does. So you really want to be able to showcase what that experience is like from start to finish. And I think the Ritter Center is obviously an amazing organization, and I think they did a really good job at showcasing that here. obviously in partnership with the Story Studio. So we're thrilled with how this one turned out. Again, this was a series of 4 to start. And again, it just continues to grow for us. And, we're building out right now, like I said, a resource center in partnership with the RITTER Center for some of the homeless in San Francisco.
Wow, yeah, homelessness is a major, major issue, and I'm so happy to see this kind of content come together. So what is Ritter Center up to now, and how did you get them to make the jump from, a series of stories into a hub?
That's a great question. And, this is actually one of the first ones that we're going to be doing for a brand centric hub. And, for them, what they wanted to do was create a resource center. So not only are we aggregating all of the stories that we've created in the past, but we'll have a new set of stories that we'll include in there, as well as a lot of the content that, they create on their own. But not a lot of people know the Ritter Center, but a lot of people know the San Francisco Chronicle. And so, their goal is to create, like I said, an environment and a resource center where all of that information is aggregated in a notable, trustworthy environment. And so, they obviously see the value of that Chronicle header. So it ended up being a really perfect fit for, this longer term initiative.
Interesting. Seems like it makes sense all around to really create that aggregated resource and to give them more exposure and just innovative resource in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be launching that within the next couple weeks. Next up, we have the Accelerate Foundation. This is a series of 4 stories, which is running on one of the HTV sites. We also have this running through our marketplace on Inside Philanthropy and a few others. So they're getting a lot of great press with the work that they're doing. And what we wanted to showcase here in this high impact series was how to ask for money, right? It's very important to get people to donate, is to be as transparent as possible with how those donations are going to be used. The more clear and the more specific you can show, the value that you're giving, to the community from your organization, that's where you're going to have the most success. And so, when working through these campaigns, showing where each dollar goes and why it goes there, answering that question of why is key. People want to know for $1, someone gets a meal or someone gets, shelter over their head for the evening. And so what Accelerate does is they have a platform that they wanted to be able to showcase front and center. And that platform addresses all of the needs in this case, the Arkansas area. So they address everything from homelessness to rent prices to job advancement. So all of these touch points that make a strong community, they're analyzing on a daily basis. And so when someone donates to the Accelerate Foundation, they basically show you exactly where the money goes. Right now in Arkansas, and I think a lot of the country is facing a crisis in terms of rent has absolutely skyrocketed. And so a lot of people in Northwest Arkansas can't afford to live there. And so, what they did is they put out this study through their platform and realized that's the number one issue plaguing Northwest Arkansas. And so what did they do with the money that was donated to the Accelerate Foundation? They put it into affordable housing, and they're building 4 different communities for the area. So you'll see there's an exact tie back to your donation. Okay, this is a rising crisis in my area. I know that every dollar I give right now to the Accelerate Foundation is going to be used to solve that problem. So assigning a value to wherever that amount may be just really helps move the needle in terms of how people are willing to invest. If your investment, they can actually see immediate change in the area based on what they've been able to donate, it's huge. And it keeps them coming back to your organization to help with further initiatives that you're working through. The next series that we're doing for them is doing an upskill program where they're working with a lot of hospitals in the area to basically provide a program that women of color can apply to further their education to potentially get into nursing careers or whatever that may be. So again, the dollar is associated with a service. And I think Accelerate Foundation is an incredible organization. How we were able to kind of showcase that to generate the support that they needed was wonderful to see. Next, we have an organization called Season of Sharing, and this is a long-term partnership that the San Francisco Chronicle has had with this organization. What we do is we create a series of stories for them each year and aggregate them into what we call a branded hub. Each one of the stories is essentially a testimonial on how this foundation has helped the individual. So it's a very personal experience. I think what they did very differently than a lot of the nonprofit content that we have worked on is they provided an extreme level of detail. So, where your story should always provide examples of how your organization has making impact with the donor's help, what they did was showcase not only the people that they've helped, but they're showcasing the donors. So anyone that helps and participates in the Season of Sharing, they're listed on the hub, and I think for them, it absolutely furthers a sense of community. Obviously, there's some, anonymous donors on here, but you can see, the names and the levels in which people participated, in this each holiday. They also do a really good job at providing us all of the data through their annual reports, so we can tell a very strong by the numbers story. So number of families helped, number of meals served, the total donation amount that this foundation has delivered back to the community. And so, the best practice, for this one and for all of them is details. You're again asking for money or you're asking for time. And in order to be able to really have that strong connection with the reader to get them to take action, they want to be a part of it. They want to feel a part of the organization. And they want to know that their dollar, their hard-earned dollar, is going to make an impact. The next example here is for the Zuckerberg Foundation. So this is a partnership we've had for 2 years running. This one is near and dear to my heart for various reasons. Well, all of these are. But this one specifically was a new avenue for us where we did a custom video series, but we also did a custom podcast series. And so what we wanted to be able to do is tell their story in many different ways. As a foundation, it's one organization that essentially divvies up the funds to help, certain areas of the community. What the marketing message really touches on here is the emotional element. We took a very in-depth approach with interviews with some of the leaders of these organizations, as well as the families that these organizations have helped. These people are obviously making a difference in their community. And I think a great way to get that out there is through sight, sound, and motion, right? So, you can hear their voices through the podcast, you can hear their passion, you can see the impact through, custom video. So there's so many different ways to be able to showcase the content. And so this was a series, a written series, as well as, like I said, the podcast, as well as video. And what we did is we created a centralized location within the San Francisco Chronicle where we not only house the content that we created, but we also bring in various stories from their blog. So it ends up being, again, a very holistic experience where if you go to this page, which we then, promote heavily, you'll be able to see not only the, a video that we created for, let's say, the Youth Impact Initiative, but you can also listen to the podcast on the Housing Access Initiative. So again, it really paints a really in-depth picture of what the Zuckerberg Foundation is doing for the Bay Area community.
I love the way this looks. This is a really nice aggregated location for a lot of different mediums. So I know podcasts are somewhat new for us. Can you tell everybody a little bit more about the production process and how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're correct. This is new for us. We've done about 4 different programs now across a few different verticals, and this one was by far, I think, the most involved. We can go about the production one of 2 ways. So we can handle everything virtually, or we can do it in a studio. For this one, we did a little bit of both. So we have a studio where the host and the talent was able to come in and do everything in person. Obviously, with COVID and a lot of the restrictions, we've also, have that virtual option as well. Turnaround time is about a week and a half for these. So it's a really great opportunity to create an ongoing series. But yeah, we would work with you and your client in whatever capacity, makes sense, whether that be in person, or as I said, that virtual environment.
Oh, that makes sense. This medium is such a popular one to reach different kinds of readers and actually listeners in this sense. So it's really cool that this offering exists for that, and we hope to continue to grow it.
Yeah, and another thing is, we promote these just as we would a video, just as we would an interactive element. So you're getting, instead of those guaranteed views, you're getting those guaranteed downloads. So it's still the same sort of package, options that we have with our standard editorial stories.
All right, so good to know.
Next, I'm going to hand it over to Chloe to walk you through another program that's near and dear to our hearts. It was actually a partnership with HTV Studios. So I will go ahead and hand that over.
Hello, everyone. It is so nice to see so many faces again this go around. Nonprofits are surely an important topic. Now let's reel in some more info on all things fishing. This here is our client Recreational Boating and Fishing Foundation. This video hub for Recreational Boating and Fishing Foundation was a multi-channel, multi-creative call to diverse groups of Americans to learn and join in the fun of fishing. We worked with influencer teams, our HTVDS team, as well as Hearst agency 46 Mile to come up with this full-scale program. Each video was distributed in full scale on YouTube, while 30-second capture videos were featured on social media. Each file was also incorporated into display or OTT ads, as well as featured within the StoryStudio Video Hub. Along with the videos in the hub, we paired a fun Guess This Fish quiz, a searchable map of all places to boat and fish in the US, as well as an infographic of what to bring on your fishing trip. Lastly, the influencer campaign featured 6 different influencers sharing their stories to over 300K people in reach. In total, for all efforts, we delivered almost 5 million impressions, with the total campaign numbers translating into more than 1 million video views. 600,000 of them came from the hub page alone, run by the Story Studio. The page alone had an average of 9 minutes and 10 seconds average time spent, which is very telling of the interest of the subject, the way we targeted the audience, as well as the entertaining and educational elements on the page, such as the animated fish swimming back and forth, video content, quiz, map, and the infographic. So what we know now is that not only does content tell a compelling story, but when it comes to metrics, there are some really impactful stories to tell as well. We ended up being contracted at the very end to put metrics together in its own hub to show the full story of campaign metrics. You'll see that example on the right of the page. We absolutely can do the same for other clients, given metrics from other teams and networks to showcase the full-scale programs. The key takeaways from this program would most likely be the ability to reach different audiences coming at it from all different angles, from social media to influencer campaigns to Story Studio native distribution, as well as display. The social and YouTube functions really are geared towards the younger folks, so we were able to skew a lot younger in terms of the reach there. For influencers, we definitely skewed more into the moms and families route, so we were able to see a little bit of an older family population there. Within Story Studio, we showcased a national reach across all of the US to diverse groups of people, largely with lower household income from different ethnic groups. What we found is that the more content living on the page, the better, as you can tell by the time spent metrics, as well as the overall delivery of all of these different tactics. What we learned is to make things entertaining and teach people something to get them to care, to want to learn more, or to take an action. What we do know as well as we continue to put together hubs and different content is that influencer content is on the rise. Ask us more about influencers in follow-up, and we will share our new rollout in conjunction with the Hearst social team. I think that's all for our BFF, so I will catch you next time. Now back to you, Allie.
Thank you for that, Chloe. You know, she's right. It's just your reporting is so key for nonprofits and for everything else we do. And so, what she was able to put together here, just in terms of this final report, I think it's absolutely beautiful. But more so, the analytics are just so valuable. So last here, I wanted to kind of put a little bit of a bow on it, just from everything that we went through, and really just kind of give you some tools to start the conversation with any nonprofits in your area. We have obviously the Airtable, which I think you guys are pretty familiar with, which you can sort for nonprofits. Most of the nonprofits we work with have chapters in all areas, for example, Salvation Army. So feel free to showcase any of the examples that we've created to any of your local chapters. So, what we wanted to kind of wrap up with here before I hand it over to Monica for some holiday information. One, the goal here is to educate readers. We need to clarify the mission. Again, it's a crowded space for nonprofits, and the holidays make it 10 times harder to stand out. So really putting yourself out there with the right message is going to be key. Make it mean something, make it relevant, make sure that, when we're creating a message on behalf of your client, it's targeting that reader. As you saw just in that first example with the Head Start initiative, talking to a parent of a child which is in potential need of these services is a lot different than talking to someone who is going to donate to those services. So the importance of how, again, we craft our stories becomes one of the most important things, especially with nonprofits, because it's typically a personal conversation, with all of these different organizations. Tone, I think, again, it is important that the connection is made. So whether you're doing that through testimonials, through real-time examples, whether you're doing that by showcasing, exactly what, your donation amount will do to help, X number of families, having that softer tone, that compassionate tone is key to success. And then lastly, just like all of our other stories, visual assets are so important. They drive 72% more interaction and engagement than a static story. So when you're thinking about this, maybe it's interactive maps to showcase areas that are in trouble or areas that need help. Maybe it's a interactive timeline on, the work that you've done over the course of your existence. Maybe it's, again, an assessment of, when you're asking readers to donate their time. Maybe it's an assessment on what they would be best at or where their talents would be most suited to help your organization. So the more visual assets, photography, video, interactive components, the better. It is going to drive more interaction, more awareness, and, in turn, more donations. So next, I am going to hand it over to Monica to walk you through some holiday opportunities, really kind of based in this idea of a co-op holiday hub that supports nonprofits in the area. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Monica.
Thanks, Allie. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to discuss a new sales opportunity that was inspired by this very own nonprofit webinar for a co-op hub. However, before we dive into those very exciting details, I'd like to give just a high-level overview of what a co-op hub is, just in case this word or product is totally new. So we developed this product back in 2020, and it's been amazing to watch just its growth, not only in interest, but even in use and practicality. We now have over 15 co-op hubs that range in topics from beer trails, travel guides, recruitment, and now nonprofit. Basically, in general, the co-op hub is an enhanced resource guide sponsored by a Hearst newspaper or broadcast station that allows for more than one sponsor and has various package options that can accommodate for different price points. When an idea for a co-op hub arises, we will work directly with the station to create a custom layout and then also custom packages that align with the station's goals and what they would like to see within this co-op hub. I would say generally we've seen that a co-op hub normally takes around 4 to 6 weeks to create from start to finish, where it's the blank slate and then we develop the branding around it as well as those matching packages. And then lastly, the co-op hub is really meant to live on that Hearst site for as long as it can. We really create these with no end date in mind and are constantly updating, refreshing the content and optimizing to make sure that it's still relevant for that targeted audience. I would just note at the bottom of the page here, this link for custom hubs will take you to an awesome little resource guide of its own that really will dive into the different co-op hub offerings that we have, lots of wonderful examples, and then the featured product elements that you can add on within these hubs. Now we get to discuss the fun stuff. We are hoping that at the end of this nonprofit webinar, everyone listening in here today is going to feel very inspired and enlightened about all the opportunities that lie within the nonprofit world. So hopefully that's the case, and we have created a templated nonprofit themed hub paired with preset packages and a custom high impact layout. And this whole package will be offered at a discounted rate for a limited time. So I'm going to just dive into the overall layout of the nonprofit hub. But before we scroll through the actual mock here, I want to just briefly go over the 3 different package options. So the first package option would include all sponsor opportunities throughout the page, from the top featured placement all the way down to the listing in the directory. The second option would include the featured pop-up, the map placement, and the directory listing. And then the third and final option would simply just include the map placement as well as the directory listing. So we can just start going through the example of what this nonprofit hub would look like for you. So we begin here with just a general introduction. We will customize per station, and it's paired with the premier featured logo placements of our top sponsors, which would also be part of that level 1 package opportunity. So within these logos, there's the option for these sponsors to click through either just to their website, to a donate now portal, or a place within their website to learn more. It's really up to them. They have full reign of where they like these click-throughs to go to. After that general introduction with the premier logo placements, we do have the custom sponsored story section, also part of that level 1 package option. These would click through to that custom nonprofit inspired high impact layout, and they would also be paired with their own separate promotional plan. So not only guaranteeing to that level 1 sponsor that they will get guaranteed viewership on this page, but also a direct set of eyes within their target audience going to their own individual sponsored stories. Below the stories, we have the pop-up information card. This would be where our level 2 sponsors come into play, but level 1 would still be included in here as well. So within these tiles, you can click on each one and an information card would pop up. Within this card, there's the opportunity for a brief description for the nonprofit to provide, a custom image or video on the left-hand side, and then call to action buttons and links to their social handles at the bottom of this card as well. Right below the information card section, we have the nonprofit map, which is where our level 3 sponsors would come in. So just that low level super low cost, but really helps to accommodate those nonprofits that might not have a large marketing budget, but still would like to be a part of this page. So you can click on each of these pins within the map, and there would be room for a brief description, contact information, as well as a custom image for each of the sponsors. So this map actually concludes the preset packages for this hub. And then below the map, we have two almost a la carte opportunities. The community board, which would be sold as one-off placements, but we think really provides an opportunity for those sponsors who maybe have something more than a blog or a press release that they would like to showcase within this page. That could be something like an upcoming event, opportunities to volunteer or join their team, and then quick links to click through and donate today if needed. We can really get as custom and as creative as we want on this community board. I think the more variety we have, the better. And I just think it is a really fun spot for viewers to come check out. It's constantly rotating, and you're really never sure what information is going to be portrayed here. Right below the community board, this would be another a la carte option, which would allow for sponsors to pop in their own maybe editorial stories from their blog page or something else that they have created, as well as potentially press releases or even content from Hearst that we'd want to fill this in here. And then right below the two a la carte options would just be that sponsor directory, where everyone who is a participant would be included here, just for one last chance for the viewer to be able to click through to any of the sponsors' websites. So as mentioned before, we just really want to make sure that every station has an opportunity to try out a co-op hub, and really what better co-op hub to start than nonprofit right before the holiday season begins. These co-op hubs are just mainly an amazing way, in what we've seen, to get sponsors familiar with the StoryStudio product at a lower cost to entry, or just for a sponsor to be a part of a really unique marketing initiative, probably something that they've really never seen before. So if you think this is something that you or your team would be interested in learning more about, please reach out to the email listed on this slide, and we can set up a call to discuss the specifics of what will go on within this campaign. We'll go over the discounted cost of the hub, the preset packages, and can review the custom high-impact template as well. But please note and mark it on your calendar that this discounted cost will only be in effect until September 30th. After that, we will resume normal costs for a co-op hub for this nonprofit. Also, if you think that maybe nonprofit would not be great for your market, but you have another idea, feel free to reach out, and we can definitely set up some time to discuss as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in, and now I will toss it back to Allie.
Thank you for that, Monica. And, as she said, please do not hesitate to reach out to her with questions, or, if you think that could be a fit. She and her team are there to help you. And last, I just wanted to kind of show you a landscape here of just our team and just the support that we can bring, you not only in the pre-sale phase and obviously post-sale. So we have a team of creative strategists that are going to be there to help work with you and your client to make sure that right message is getting out there, making sure everything's set up correctly, getting those analytics all organized and shared. So you have just the full support here of the StoryStudio team. If you ever have a question, you can obviously reach out to Chloe or myself or any other of these lovely folks. We also have that StoryStudio alias that is really useful for, quick questions like, do you have an example for this, or whatever it may be. And then last here, I just wanted to walk you through just the StoryStudio Help Center. So we'll be sharing this presentation after the call. And then within that follow-up, you'll have access to capabilities, process, you'll have, a link to the Airtable, a link to this recording, and everything will be available for you to review or to share with anyone who may have missed it and may be interested. So thank you again so much. We'll have another one of these next month, and we'll be focused on retail and e-commerce, which we're super excited about. I think branded content in the commerce space has always kind of got a bad rap, right? It's always been an awareness play, but what we're seeing with some of these new creative capabilities that we've rolled out is that it works, and we're actually able to move product and take us out of just the awareness game into a truly actionable story that drives results. So excited to get that on the calendar. I will send out an invite just similarly to what I did for this one. And again, yes, thank you again for your time. Please do not hesitate to reach out with questions. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. All right.